for Bring Your Own Lunch. Personal stories about the business with my daddy, Dave T. Koenig.
All right, come on in, have a seat, welcome. This is the Bring Your Own Lunch podcast at bringyourownlunch.com, the magic of iTunes, the majesty of Stitcher, and however you found your way to download this podcast, I thank you. As you heard at the top, my name is Dave T. Koenig. I'm an actor, writer, director, producer, comedian, all-around swell dude. I'm vexed every day by the realization that Regina George was right and fetch will never happen. And of course, I'm the host of the podcast you're listening to right now. BYOL is the hashtag you can use if you want to hop on board via social media. Like us on Facebook.com/BringYourOwnLunch. Follow us on Twitter at BYOL Podcast. You can follow us on Instagram at Bring Your Own Lunch. And there's plenty of other ways to get in touch with us. But if those are no good, if you'd prefer to go the old-fashioned route with just a plain old website, plain old, heck no, it's the mothership. It's the home base. BringYourOwnLunch.com, where you can find all the information about the guests on this program, past, present, and presumably future. And if you want to send me a personal email, I'd love that as well, Dave@BringYourOwnLunch.com. It's a monumental week. This week, for the first time, I have someone returning to the show. Yes, I've done two-part episodes before, but that was when I sat down with one person for one interview, and it went so long that we made two episodes out of it. And for the first time, I have someone returning to the show, Kevin Arbouet, who was our guest a few weeks ago, director and writer, and very, very cool guy. He and I sat down and did a review of his life and what brought him to the dance, and we did all that stuff, but we had a very short window of time, and I felt bad, and I wanted to continue talking with him, but we had no way to do that then and there. So I said, hey, let's get him back very soon. And we were able to line up our schedule sooner than I thought we'd be able to. So we got him back. And just like last time, he is chock full of cool stories, very cool advice for people who want to get into this business, who want to spread their wings once they're in the business. He's got a lot of good stuff to talk about. But because we've already gone over his personal history, this was a unique chance to talk to somebody about life issues. And there's certainly a lot of life issues out there, and issues that Kevin himself can speak about at length. And knowing him and knowing his stuff on Facebook and how outspoken he is, and not just outspoken for the sake of being outspoken. He's very thoughtful in his words, and he's not afraid to put it out there. He doesn't really pull punches. So I wanted to maybe get a chance to talk to him about other stuff besides just the business, and then see how that stuff relates to what we do as professional entertainer types. And it went better than I could have ever imagined, because he was game for it, and we got out right from the get-go and had a fantastic conversation about some issues in the world right now that are certainly disturbing, if not outright depressing. So while we do have fun, I don't want to get you thinking that this whole thing is going to be morose and doom and gloom, but we do talk about some very serious issues. If that's the kind of thing that bothers you, this may not be your cup of tea this week. That's okay. I don't mind that so much. But if you're into listening to us discuss issues outside of the business, ones that are very relevant and do impact what we do as professionals, well, then please listen. And if you have any comments, if you have any reaction to what you hear, feel free to tell me about it. You can either go on social media, hashtag BYOL, and let me know exactly what you think of this, or you can send me a personal email, Dave@BringYourOwnLunch.com, and I'll be happy to get some feedback on this one, because we talk about stuff that is super important, and I'm looking forward to bringing you this conversation. I do have a little bit more to say about some of the topics in the news these days, but I did want to say that I am in rehearsals for a very cool project. It's a play called The Maltese Walter. It's a short play that was written by John Minnigan. You've heard me mention him before. It has been entered and is now being presented at the Sam French Festival in New York City. I believe it's the 40th annual Sam French Festival, which is amazing. And maybe 1,000 plays were submitted for this one, and they select a very, very small number of these. And the Maltese Walter is in there, and I am fortunate enough and honored to be part of the cast of this short play. And I'm thrilled. I'm working with a lot of the folks from Hey Shantae again. So for me, it's a great opportunity to just do a fun project. If you want to come see it, apparently this thing will sell out pretty quick. So look it up, the Sam French Festival. My night, the show will be happening on Wednesday, August 5th at 8 o'clock p.m. You'll see the Maltese Walter along with several other plays that will go on that night. And if you are looking for it, it's at the East 13th Street Theater, 136 East 13th Street in New York City, and I would love to see you there. And if you are planning to come, please let me know in advance. Something I didn't expect in advance was that I'd be talking about pro wrestling again. Not really talking about pro wrestling in this case. You know, if you listen to the history of the show, you've heard me mention that I had a very brief period of time where I was involved in that industry. Probably go back to the first episode. I explained it more than any other time, but it came back in. I never planned to talk about pro wrestling with this show, but when it does come out like this, I kind of have to. Last week we found out that Hulk Hogan, a guy who, when I was very young, idolized, this is a guy who made comments that were incredibly, incredibly racist, and he got caught. And now he's lost a job for it, and he's definitely bearing the brunt of his own words. And there are people out there who have reacted to what happened as though he is the victim in this. And I don't get it. And in reaction to the reaction of others who don't seem to understand why Hulk Hogan is now being punished for some of those words, I posted this on Facebook, and I wanted to share it with you because it does sum up my thinking about comments like this. So here's what I wrote. For those confused and or upset at why privately made comments are coming back to bite Hulk Hogan hard 8 years after the fact, allow me to share 2 simple rules about life that will serve you well. Number 1, don't be racist. Number 2, if you're truly not racist, don't say stuff that makes you sound racist. For instance, I guess I am a little racist. Follow these 2 simple rules and you'll never get in trouble on any level for making racist comments, whether you're in public or in private. When in doubt, ask yourself the following 2 questions. Number 1, am I racist? Number 2, will what I'm about to say make me sound racist? If you end up with the answers of no, then yes, in that order, don't say what you were going to say. The way people have reacted to the Hogan backlash and other similar famous racial outbursts, you'd think making racist comments was so understandably enticing that you can't blame someone for indulging, like a giant movie theater bag of Twizzlers that you're not supposed to eat all of before the trailers are over, but you polish off anyway. Look, I'm all for free speech and free exchange of ideas, but I'm even more for taking responsibility for my words and thinking ahead about how my words impact others. If I say something racist or even racist sounding and people call me on it, they're not somehow violating my constitutional rights. They wouldn't be at fault. I would be. And if I make racist or racist-sounding comments to people, and people tell other people what I've said, and I get nailed for it, they're not violating my privacy. They wouldn't be at fault. I would be. It's really as simple as that. I want to know what you think. Dave at bringyourownlunch.com. All right, let's get back to some fun. Well, before we do, let's thank Banuba. Banuba.net, BANOOBA.net. That's the band that provides the music at the beginning, middle, and end of this show. They are fantastic. Go to their website, download their music, buy their music, go see them live. They are fantastic. Support them the way they support Bring Your Own Lunch. And if you really want to support us, the best way to do it, and it's free, is to go to iTunes or Stitcher and rate, review, and most importantly, subscribe to the show. Now, I've said this before, rating and reviewing and subscribing, it tells Stitcher and it tells iTunes that what we're doing is something people are listening to, and they'll tell more people. But I also know that there's been a problem with seeing all of the episodes on iTunes in the iTunes store, if you just go through a computer. I did discover through experimentation that if you are subscribed to the show, you'll see all the episodes always. But if you just go there without subscribing, you're not necessarily going to see the most recent episode. So until iTunes gets its act together and fixes the problem, the best solution for you, subscribe to the show. You'll be good. All right, let's get into it. This is our second sit-down chat conversation with writer-director Kevin Arbouet. Heck of a guy. Opinionated, intelligent, bold, brash, brave, feminist. We'll find out. Here's Kevin. Enjoy. This is part 2 of our sit down. And it is going to be all about you, but I have to share a story real quick because it literally just happened. All right, so I was up at Lincoln Center, and I had to come down here, and I parked my car over on the west side, and I took a cab over here. And partway into the trip, I said, you know what? I had a couple of friends who got into an accident in a cab, and I'm going to put the seatbelt on. And even though, it felt silly, I did it anyway. So we got all the way. We're at Ripley Greer, 8th Avenue, 36th Street, and the guy turns left on 36, comes all the way across. We get to almost 8th Avenue. And just as I'm about to say, hey, just drop me off here, someone rear ends us. Tiny little fender bender thing, but I just literally got into a car accident in a cab in New York City on 36th Street.
That's crazy.
Yeah, like 20 feet from where I needed to be. So it wasn't a problem, but it was still kind of like, whoa.
Did you feel? Were you hurt?
I'm fine. No. I literally could not have ended up in better shape because of it, because it was nothing. It was literally nothing.
It's like you willed it to happen.
I almost wanted it to, because you need these life experiences to enhance what we do. And now I have been in an accident in a cab in New York City. So that's my story.
All right.
But since we've spoken, it's been a few weeks, the world has kind of gone crazy, and I wanted to get your thoughts on things, because we talked about your history already, and I want to get into some of the stuff you're doing now.
Oh, I thought you were going to ask me about the fucking lion, that fucking lion.
Well, go ahead.
I thought that's what you were going to ask me about.
It can be.
I can't speak about that lion.
You don't have an opinion about the lion.
I have an opinion. You know what annoys me, Mr. Koenig?
Yes.
Is how worked up people can get about one dead lion that gets killed in Africa. It's like, you know what they kill in Africa? Africans.
Yeah,
Africans are killed in Africa.
Someone posted that today, and I guess I was waiting to reserve, and I understand that the privilege of these two idiots who went onto this protected land and paid someone off $55,000
right.
for the privilege of killing a lion puts a really bad taste in my mouth. I have to admit that, but I kind of was waiting to make any kind of comment on it, because, and someone finally did say something very similar on Facebook today, and I was like, you know what? Geez, yeah. I mean, we do go through these cycles so quickly nowadays of being outraged, and then that's over, and then let's go on to the next thing. Yeah. It's like our collective memory is so short-lived that we don't focus enough on the things that are really, really globally important.
Right, and you really see the difference between our country and other countries, how other countries use that outrage to actually change things, like Iceland.
Yeah.
Iceland was outraged about what was happening in their government, and the people uprose. The people did something.
Yeah, it sounded good. Yeah.
And they made a change. And here it's just, we get on Facebook, we get on Yelp. And like Yelp is now like the meanest thing you can do to someone. We are such pussies, man. Yelp is the meanest thing we can do to somebody now. It's like, I'm going to give you a bad review. It's like, ooh.
I'm going to write it on a Post-it and put it on a road sign somewhere.
Ooh. Yeah. And I'm going to give my first name and my last initial. Ooh.
Yeah, that's really right. Yeah.
It's like Zorro.
It does speak to how sometimes unbelievably reactionary that we can be as a nation, and also the fact that we can direct our stuff in some silly directions and then get bogged down in the process of who's right, who's wrong, and forget about the fact that we just need to figure out the best way to let everybody survive until tomorrow.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want this to get into a super political conversation, but you were exactly
George
right.
Bush. George Bush orchestrated 9/11.
Yeah.
George Bush doesn't care about black people. Illuminati.
But you know, you're right. In other countries, like in Australia, they had noticed that people die when you shoot them with a gun, and they decided, well, maybe we don't need so many guns here, so they decided to make guns harder to get for people, and lo and behold, people aren't dying as a result of a gunshot so much anymore. We don't really have that same sense of urgency about not letting people die via gunshot.
No, because what people won't admit, what this all comes down to, is that guns are cool. That's what
really
it is. I think guns are fun, guns are cool, and that because people always say, well, but I use my gun for hunting. And it's like, you have a handgun. You're not using your Beretta. It's like, you're not hunting. Most people have it because they go into the woods and they shoot some stuff and they say, yeehaw.
Right.
I mean, that's what it comes down to. But, you know, to your point about back to the lion, you know, when you're talking about the guy paid $55,000, I'm going to blow your mind. $55,000 is about the average salary of a police officer, and they have the pleasure of killing a black person.
That is interesting.
Can I drop your mic on the floor?
Yeah, well, I mean,
it's expensive.
Plus, it's a visual, and it doesn't really play well on a podcast. But I do think that is fascinating that so many parallels these days are being drawn, and you know,
I think lions and black people are very similar, generally speaking.
I will allow you to take that mantle and explain further, because the second I open my mouth, I'm asking to become the next Hulk Hogan.
Well, lions generally are known to have the afros of the animal kingdom. I mean, they're
See, I'm glad you said it, not me, because I'm fully aware of how translucent I really am in many ways. So, but it, you know, it's funny. You are somebody who posts very. You are not afraid to speak your mind on Facebook, which is ironic because it should be. You should be.
It's going to come back to bite me at some point.
I don't know. Because there was a while ago back, I thought, you know, in a certain way, the people who are making the most sense these days are comedians.
Right.
You know, it's almost like if they started the comedy party, I'm sure there would be a groundswell of support for it, because so many comedians, like with Jon Stewart and Stephen Colbert and stuff like that, they're pointing out common sense things. Right. And the common sense is, you know, neither sensible or nor common or something like that, whatever that saying is. But so people who do express themselves in an eloquent, thoughtful manner and are talking common sense like you are often doing, that does send a message out there that actually matters. That isn't like a negative Yelp review of a dentist in Minnesota, but it actually, somebody may read that, and you as somebody who is of influence in the business, it may change some minds.
Hopefully, you know, and with comedians, I mean, I feel like the reason why, like you mentioned, the Jon Stewarts, the Chris Rocks, the Louis C.K.'s, it's because comedians are thoughtfully observant.
Yes.
You can't be funny without being that. Where most people are, you know, you can ride the subway and everyone is just looking down into the phone. No one's observing anything. You know, you don't see what's happening. Where a comedian's the exact opposite. You know, so yeah, I agree. I feel like some people do hear, you know, a truth bomb, and maybe that affects one person, and then hopefully it can spread. I mean, we are just at I feel like we're at a tipping point in our culture right now. I feel like, you know, it's a powder keg. I'm not sure which way it's going to go. Now, on one hand, I'm not saying it's worse than it has been. I think it's just, this is more information out there.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's been the same, but now you can read about it or see it.
Yeah, and it's more accessible to so many more people. I mean, the internet age has allowed everybody, I mean, we're sitting here, our phones are within reach, and whatever we want to know about, we can know about it in seconds.
I've been watching porn this entire interview.
Which is interesting, because I think it's not so much that you're watching porn, it's the type of porn that makes it fascinating to me. Because I have yet in my existence seen speed buggy porn until today.
Well, that's what all the punching's about. I mean, it's really, it's really odd. What do you think the tailpipes are for?
There you go. Hey now. I mean, and you have been vociferous about Bill Cosby, and I, you know, this is not a this podcast is not a podcast about. What is that term? Throwing shade. I feel like such a
that was
geek.
Really ethnic.
Yeah, I'm a geek guy.
You actually went throwing shade. This is Dave T. Koenig, and I'm throwing shade. 91 degrees.
Hey now, let's take a look at some results from last night's the results from Aqueduct.
The winning lottery numbers were 34.
Well, join us later on, and Barkeys will be handing out stickers. So,
Bill Cosby, yeah.
So you've said a lot about Bill Cosby.
I have, because Bill Cosby, because it was the Bill Cosby thing. Honestly, was a huge learning experience. So kind of to bring it back around to career. I grew up in a middle class household, so the Cosby Show was very much my childhood. Very similar. We were very fun. Lots, it's very funny parents, so, it was that.
Yeah.
So Bill Cosby was like a hero to me.
Yeah, he was for me too.
Yeah.
So his stand-up special, the first one, himself,
yeah.
Just brilliant.
Brilliant stuff. And it really spoke to me, even about like the type of, because he was the type of black person that was so in the middle, meaning a lot of white people, when they think of black people, they think of Richard Pryor or they think of rap, right? So for my entire life, like I'd be on the phone and I'm talking to someone, a business call, and then I go to see them in person and they go, "Oh my God, I thought you were white. You sounded so white over the phone."
Interesting, yeah.
And I'm like, what the heck? And Bill Cosby was that gap where he wasn't Byron Allen. He wasn't, but he was a black dude, but he was a successful black dude, and he was educated, and that's what I loved about him.
Sure.
And the first person to say something, the first woman who came forward, I was too young to think that. Plus, it was a time when I think just naturally men can be just a misogynist, just naturally. You just gonna believe the guy. I'm like, oh, who's this girl trying to get money?
Oh, okay.
And then after like 3 or 4, you're like, oh, okay, he's obviously guilty.
Yeah.
And it's sad that after 20 to 25, 30, even now that we now can read that he's admitted it, there are still people defending him. And I'm just and the lesson there was, you can be inspired by someone's career, but don't make these strangers your heroes.
Interesting.
Don't make them your inspiration, because you will get into trouble. And that's been true of I used to love Roman Polanski. I used to dig. It's just, you're going to get into trouble. So that's why my hero was always going to be my dad.
Good for you, man. I think there's
Bill Cosby.
It's a good. The thing that really it was that sort of shared experience that we all, because Bill Cosby reminded me of my dad, and he was sort of America's dad for a while there.
Yep.
And we have to separate the fictional person that's depicted on TV from the person who actually exists in life, sort of like Hulk Hogan. Espousing all good things about America, but at the same time being incredibly racist, basically.
Right.
And you can't be both and not expect it to come crashing down.
Right.
Which I realize is a quote from his song, but I didn't mean it that way.
Could you do it in this voice, please?
Brother, I shouldn't do that.
That sounded like a sneeze.
But yeah, good enough. It might as well be a sneeze. But when you do invest yourself in people like that, so I think trying to turn this into a conversation now about it, what we do you feel a responsibility, or where do you draw the line when you're creating a fictional work and you still want to remain true? Where do you draw the line in terms of what you ask actors to do?
Like if I write something that maybe they think is offensive.
Sure. I mean, you can push buttons, you can stretch, but there's always going to be a person behind it. So it's kind of the reverse idea. Like Bill Cosby was America's hero and father, and he looked after everybody, but obviously he wasn't in real life.
Right.
I'm thinking maybe the opposite, where you do ask people who are good people to do terrible things. How do you feel about that? Where do you draw the line?
I kind of don't. The only line, because I'm writing and directing it, the only line I have is my personal taste, which I have to say, I am not a very politically correct person. I actually do not like political correctness at all, So just recently in the movie I did, Fair Market Value, there were some really there were some questionable lines that I know that, maybe some people might have an issue with. And I did, I did change a line. I did change one line because I thought in this climate it's probably too much. And in the scene, Craig Bierko, who was super funny, he's dating a woman in the movie and he brings her to his parents. The mom, played by Deborah Jorup of That 70s Show. And she keeps calling the girlfriend. It's like, I'm so happy to meet your special friend. And then the screenplay, the original line was like, could you stop referring to her as my special friend? You make it sound like she's a retard.
Oh, okay.
So that was the line for a while. And then I was like, I got to change that. So I changed it to you make it sound like she has Down syndrome.
Okay, see, that's an interesting way to maintain the spirit of what you were trying to say and the joke you were trying to make, but with an eye towards not pissing off somebody who might be offended by that.
Right.
And it is a very big challenge these days. You do have to be careful with how you choose to use which words and how you position the target of the joke.
Yeah.
You know, in that case, the person saying the joke was actually kind of indifferent towards the people who might have Down syndrome, it sounds like. In other cases, it might be where the speaker is the idiot who's saying terrible things, like Cartman on South Park. And then in other cases, it's literally the fact that somebody is saying something that's fairly benign, but people get outraged by it.
And how people speak. I mean, to be perfectly honest, the one thing that makes me uncomfortable when we look at the Hulk Hogan's, or even what was the guy who owns the Clippers? The Don, what was his name? The racist Clippers owner.
Donald Sterling.
Donald Sterling.
Yeah.
I
hope that's his name because
otherwise,
all right,
good.
All right.
Is that a lot of this information came way of private texts and voicemails and emails.
Yes.
And the truth is, my texts and my emails, whatever, they're horribly offensive. And out of context, people will go, wow, Kevin is a racist.
Yeah.
He is a misogynist.
Right.
He is a homophobe. He is, you know what I mean? Like, because that's how most people talk. But then at the same time, you have to realize, well, I do belong to a society, and there's no point in needlessly hurting someone's feelings. And if I can avoid it creatively and still keep the intention, then I'm going to do it.
Right.
You know,
I mean, when you look at the world, I mean, do if somebody were to read your texts, do they reflect anything that you honestly feel? And I'm asking you to throw yourself under the bus if that the answer is yes. But
No, absolutely not. It is it's humor.
Right.
And out of context, you know, like if you read something, if you like, I mean, just imagine with no context reading exactly how Christopher Walken speaks, you would assume this person is disabled. You know what I mean? Like
he would, it would not be a fun.
No,
they do him a lot of justice when they do closed captioning.
Yeah,
to make it seem like he's saying sentences in one short burst rather than the 4 minutes.
Yeah,
he brilliantly takes to say something.
I've been in the gym where Christopher Walken is on a movie and they're doing the closed captioning, and after a while it's just question marks. You don't know what he's saying. It's just a series of question marks.
We're waiting.
Yeah. Some guy quit. He was like, I can't do this anymore. I'm quitting. But I think anything creative, context is everything.
Yeah.
And that is the point at which, like the Hulk Hogan thing, I can't, as a 38-year-old black guy, I cannot be shocked that a 6-year-old white guy doesn't want a black guy dating his daughter. I mean, are we really shocked? You know what I mean? There's just nothing shocking about it.
I mean, how did you react when you heard the Hulk Hogan thing?
I didn't. I was like, it was just, honestly, my reaction was,
okay,
because it just wasn't like, who, you know, because at the same time, because we have to accept in a society that people can be two things at the same time. Meaning, Hulk Hogan can be a guy that doesn't want a black guy dating his daughter, and he can also be a guy when he's out he'll defend a black person that he feels like is being mistreated. That can happen. You know what I mean? Like that exists.
So, but it exists. I mean, we can accept it, and that's where I guess the source of wanting things to change can be. But how do you feel about the idea that he may not want his daughter dating someone who is?
I mean, it's laughable because it's such an old joke. Like, you know, it's that thing is like, oh my God, just don't date my daughter. And I think every black guy has experienced that because black guys tend to date in the race and outside of the race more often than anyone else on this planet. Mm-hmm. So that the idea of the father not liking you dating their daughter it is the most normal thing in the world.
Is it? But do you feel it's right?
No, of course not, because it's racist,
Do you feel? Well, okay, maybe not right is the word. Maybe that's the wrong choice of words.
It's sad,
okay,
and it's kind of like, oh, he's one of those.
Okay,
but again, with context, for me, it's not something I can get outraged about or even upset about because that was my assumption.
Okay,
I assume a guy who was born in the 50s would not want a black guy dating his daughter.
Interesting.
That is always. I am always going to assume someone of a certain age is going to have a little something, and when they don't, I'm like, wow, that's shocking. You know what I mean? Like, that's pretty shocking. I mean, honestly, I think that Jimmy Carter, when he goes home, he's like, oh, those niggers. You know what I mean? Like,
something tells me Jimmy Carter doesn't say that.
Would you be shocked?
Okay.
Here's the scenario. All of a sudden it comes out, the president tapes, and Jimmy Carter, he's using the N-word like crazy. Would you be shocked?
I would.
I would not.
I would
not be shocked.
I guess because my experience in life is different from yours.
Right.
And I have not altruistic,
naive.
Call it naive if you want, but I still do hope for the future that in some extreme number of years from now, people will look back on us and feel it's kind of silly that we weren't getting along because of something as ridiculously basic as the color of our skin.
Right.
And I do hold that as a hope for the future. And I do understand now that it is not true.
Right.
But when you take a specific example like someone like Jimmy Carter, who does a tremendous amount of work with a lot of people, regardless of their race, it would be shocking. So he specifically would shock me. Maybe somebody else, maybe not so shocking. Would it be like, yeah, I can see that,
The reason why I wouldn't be shocked is because, if you maybe shocking now, but if you heard a tape from 30 years ago, maybe not. Only because, again, within the context of just how people talked and how people communicate, I'm like, okay, well, it's what people said, and it's how people are.
Right.
I've always kind of taken aback. Sometimes even looking at comedies from the 90s. You know who I used to love that makes me uncomfortable watching? Just to tell you how things have changed? Martin Lawrence.
Interesting.
I loved the Martin Lawrence show. The Martin Lawrence show. It wasn't a variety hour. It was Martin. It was Martin.
Now you sound like a 60-year-old guy.
The Martin Lawrence show.
I really like that Martin Lawrence show. It's on Fox on Saturday nights.
It's on the Fox Broadcasting Company, and 9 o'clock Eastern.
It's a darn good show. You should check it out.
He's a good one. No, but it's he was my favorite, and then I was rewatching one of his movies. It's called Blue Streak. No, was it Blue Streak? One of them. I think it was Blue Streak.
Okay.
And it was so uncomfortable. It was like a minstrel show.
Oh, okay.
It was very uncomfortable to watch. And it was him. It was the buffoonery that passed for comedy in a certain time that I can't take anymore.
Yeah.
I can't take it.
I think looking back at 70s sitcoms, you get that same kind of like, this doesn't feel right,
Yeah.
Well, and you definitely go back to like the 50s sitcoms, and it's like, that's really not right.
Right.
When you have Rochester, Jack Benny, and it just not really okay, because it definitely hit too close to home. It's a joke, but it's like, okay, there are people in the country right now who are literally being held to work that they don't want to do and are getting paid almost nothing. So, yeah, I can definitely see that. Now, the question I ask you is that if you would not be shocked by Jimmy Carter expressing that kind of opinion that Hulk Hogan expressed, like an older gentleman who expresses an opinion about his real, actual daughter and whether or not he'd want her to date somebody outside of his comfort zone, let's say. How would you feel about somebody who is 28, who's talking about a theoretical daughter? Is that a different thing to you?
Well, that also happens often as well.
Oh, it does.
Totally.
Is that more disappointing to you?
Yes, because there was a point in my life, probably mid-20s, where I used to think, it's like, oh, well, all those racist people are going to die out, and it's going to be, Nirvana soon. It's going to be, And I've come to realize, like, no, there's new ones, they spring up, and it's not just the South, it's here too. So I will tell you the most messed up part, and stuff I talk about with my son, because I don't want him to get jaded. Mm-hmm. But the test for you, Dave, is to any of your black friends and ask them certain things. And even though none of us know each other and we're separated by miles and people's whatever, we've all had the same experiences. And I've never met one black person that hasn't had a bad experience with a police officer, or who hasn't had a bad experience job interview, or hasn't had a bad experience in public. It's something you get used to. So while a 28-year-old expressing the same views would be disappointing, never shocked.
Interesting.
Never shocked.
Interesting. Yeah, I do remember an experience when I was young. I played baseball with a guy named Aaron Bush, who is one of the best athletes who ever came out of Manhasset High School, and Jim Brown went to Manhasset High School.
Right.
Aaron had a knee injury, and he didn't follow through with his sports career, but he's a really intelligent guy. I'm friends with him on Facebook. But I remember driving to games with him, and we would talk a lot. And he would tell me he told me that he would go to stores and he would be watched the entire time just because he was black. Mm-hmm. And it was so disappointing to hear that, because here was Aaron, who was just a brilliant guy, a really super nice guy, just an electric personality, and somebody who if you met him, you were like, hey, that's a great dude.
Right.
For him to have to suffer like that really told me that it's like people who aren't the quote unquote minorities, even though in the numbers I don't think add up so much anymore. We are the ones who are disappointing.
Right.
We are the ones who are causing the problem. And it's up to everybody to try and make it better. But it's like, just shut up.
Yeah.
Stop being racist.
But the reason why I became a feminist was I was kind of on that other side where I would have. So one of my female friends told me that she was on the subway and a guy flashed him, took out his penis, whatever.
Yeah.
And I laughed and I'm like, okay, that's such an isolated incident.
Right.
And then I was out with a couple of other female friends and they kind of had the same stories. And I was kind of like, wait, guys, this is like normal. And I talked to different women about certain things. And like, oh yeah, happens all the time. And I realized like, oh my God, it's the same thing when white people don't believe black people when we say, like for instance, your friend Aaron Bush saying he gets followed around the store. There's a lot of white people who just think that that's just a story that simply black people tell. Yeah. Because they want to feel sympathy or they wanted this or whatever that.
I guess it's...
And it was the same thing. It didn't occur to me. It's like, why would women make this up?
Yeah.
It's like, this is something that happens to them all the time.
Yeah. And I guess it turning it into just what we're doing, the idea of laughing at that. I mean... I take myself at, 22 years old and somebody said, actually this did happen when I was on a trip in high school and we were on a bus and somebody drove past the bus and had no pants on. And he looked up at this girl and she was mortified. She was terrified. But for me at 17 years old or whatever I was hysterical.
Right.
Because I didn't have the sensitivity to what was actually going on. It just was hilarious that this guy had no pants.
Right.
And out of context, it is still kind of funny to think of just dude there who's got no pants on.
Right.
But for a woman, it's a completely different experience.
Absolutely.
And I don't think about that, and you do have to take a step back and go, okay, if people are complaining about it, maybe that's not so great.
Exactly. And people aren't complaining about something just to make a point.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
it's something that is disturbing to them.
Exactly.
That happens often.
Yeah. And I think it comes with maturity to understand that is a real thing.
Right.
So, people do feel that way.
This has been political.
Yeah, I know, man. I like it though. I dig it.
Yeah, this is a real talk, man.
So let's bring it down a second because you do and have dealt with women's issues in some of your films.
Yeah.
Case in point.
Dave's wearing a T-shirt that says Segway on it, right?
So you did a film called Cassanova Was a Woman.
I did.
Tell me about that movie, and I'll tell you why it's extra interesting to me.
It was... I saw that the writer-producer, Jezebel Montero, was looking for a director. She had written this play that like went the rounds, and it was popular and showed her screenplay, and I believe it won some screenplay awards at different festivals, and she wanted to make it a film. And I was very interested in it because I think I told this, I wasn't sure that if I told the story when my old agency and my old agent, I had written a pilot that starred a woman. And the agent was like, you need to change this to a man because no one is going to watch a show starring a woman.
You didn't tell me that. Wow.
Yeah.
And this was what year?
Oh, this is 2009.
Wow.
2009.
Jeez.
Yeah. So speaking of misogyny, so defiantly, everything I wrote has been starring women. I was like, really? So, and it's been that way for a while. Most of my films star women, and or anything, pilots, and so it was very interesting to me to have a subject matter that also dealt with LGBT, because it's about a woman who is married who meets another woman and she falls in love with that woman. There's kind of a big funny twist where she starts to see this imaginary naked heterosexual man, because I wouldn't say the twist is that the movie is not about a woman who discovers that she's a latent life lesbian. It's about a woman who's bisexual, and how even within the gay community, bisexuals are looked at as people who can't make a choice or make up their mind, if you will.
Interesting.
So that I thought was great, because it wasn't just it wasn't so on the nose. I think we've heard like that first half of the story. We've heard oh, maybe I'm in love with a woman, but it's something else.
Right.
So that process was very different for me because most of the cast was already hired. So that was very strange.
And this was all Jezebel's work up until that point, right? How did you find her, or she find you?
She was looking. I found her. She was looking, I think, like in Mandy's or something for a director.
Oh, like that much? Wow!
I have found so much work on Craigslist and Mandy's. I can't even tell you.
It's underappreciated. I used to tell people that all the time, and I haven't found work there recently because there's not as much union work as you might think or hope. But when you're starting out, those are great resources.
The whole point of these things is to create opportunities and make contacts. And you can't have a whole career doing Mandy's and Craigslist, but you can make contacts and make opportunities. And what I did was I saw that posting, and I saw her company name, and I looked at the company name. I got a bunch of info. I ended up getting her phone number.
Wow.
I called her directly. I was like, can I read the script? She sent me the script. I read it in 45 minutes. Called her back, and she was like, okay, you're the guy, because I showed passion for it. And I really enjoyed the script. It was a strange experience because I had I wouldn't say little input in the process, but I will say this is something that Jezebel and I joke about and go back and forth about, is that for a writer producer, she has so much input into the visual language of the film.
Interesting.
That kind of was hard to accept, to be perfectly honest. But I think the film, for what it is great.
Yeah, it's funny that you ended up working with her, because I used to work with her back when she and I both did traffic reporting years and years ago. So when I saw her name attached to that, I was like, what? That world is so small.
That is so funny.
But it's very cool to hear that you had a good experience working with her. Because she, when we were doing traffic reporting, like me, this was not our destination career-wise. And it's so cool to see her take what she wanted to do and run with it. Right. And is now doing stuff there and working with obviously very good people. So it's very good. What was it like? How did you find working with her outside of the whole idea that she was like very visually focused?
It was shocking to me how much of a comedian she was, in the sense that, comedy is so hard, and most people, even when you're casting, like even the last film I cast, it's not like I had hundreds of people to choose from. I'm like, it wasn't an embarrassment of riches. Like, who do I choose? So many choices,
Now, why would you say that you didn't have that many choices? What did that come down to?
This is nothing harder than comedy.
Okay, it's just
nothing harder.
It's just you couldn't find the right people for those roles, not because there weren't people wanting to do it. For instance,
it is because most actors, and I can tell you this as someone who's repped actors, or even someone who's done these one-on-one or Susan Batson showcase things. People come in. Actors, especially starting out, who I wouldn't even say starting out, but just generally, they do drama. Mm-hmm. Generally, when actors want to show you, like, look, I can act, they're going to start crying. They want to try to make you cry. They want to them, that's like, I'm doing my thing. So when someone does something comedic, it is rare. It is rare. In the casting of Fair Market Value, the male role, can I just tell you, there was one scene that was definitely played for laughs. It was really 99% of the actors came in and did it like super dramatic.
Interesting.
Super dramatic.
That ended up going to, who ended up doing that?
Drew Moorline.
Okay.
He is hilarious.
Very cool.
And can I tell you the funniest thing about him? Because he did his thing, and I look at the casting director, Pat McCorkle, who's across the street right now, and the casting director, I was like, he was amazing. And I'm like, wow, this guy, he's the guy. He's the guy. He's amazing. Like, it's shocking to find, because he's really good looking. Like, he's like the Chris Pine, what's the other Chris? Pratt. He's like really good looking.
If your name is Chris, you're probably good looking in Hollywood. Yeah.
And much like Chris Pratt, I asked the casting associate, Katya, I'm like, God, this guy is great. And he's like, you know what? I went to school with him. I was like, really? I was like, you want to know why he's so funny? It's because he used to be fat.
Interesting.
And I was like, oh, he had to have the personality because it was a fat dude. And then he lost all the weight and everything. So now he's this really good looking guy who's honed his comedic talents because he had to.
Well, would you? There's a bit of advice for somebody. Just eat whatever you want. Get your comedy chops.
Yeah.
And then
lose it
work
all
on yourself a little bit.
Because no one wants to look at that. I mean, you know what I mean? Like,
now we're getting in trouble. You sure you didn't want to just text that to me?
Ladies, here's some advice. If you're 120, if you're 100, you need to lose 20 pounds. Right, ladies?
Oh, my gosh.
What's happening? Oh, sorry. Oh, no, my career. No, but honestly.
And we should absolutely, footnote that and say, Kevin was kidding.
Yeah. Oh, context, guys. Yes, that was a joke.
Context mattered there.
Yeah. You know who's the most upset? The fat girls. No, but...
Oh, what's that? Oh, that's my podcast? Crumbling to the ground? Well, it was a fun 54 episodes, I suppose.
Can you name this episode the N-word?
Oh, brother.
But back to
Jezebel was very funny. She was a comedian.
But a comedian, but also a physical comedian. Okay. And that's what kind of threw me for a loop, is that she was very much like Lucille Ball. She was like rolling around, and I mean, like, she has a very vaudeville sense of humor, physicality.
Super animated.
Super animated.
Yeah.
So that was great. And she was great with that. So, and especially when the leads of this movie were already cast, like, it was handed a cast, which has never been happened before. I mean, that's, for a director, that's a nightmare.
And and that you accepted that is pretty amazing.
I loved the script so much, and I loved Jezebel so much. I'm like, maybe I can make it work. And thankfully the cast was very talented, so it wasn't like
makes a difference, yeah.
Because honestly, most of the time it's somebody who wants to make a movie and they hire their friends and all of their friends. It's not like, oh, this is my best friend Leo DiCaprio.
Yeah.
He's going to help me with this short that I'm doing.
Right.
It's usually, Mo, who works at 7-Eleven and,
Right. He has 215 followers, though. So for your marketing, that'll help.
Yeah. It's like, guys, it'll just blow up, guys. If we can get Brent Spiner from Star Trek to retweet it,
we'll be fine.
Yeah. Sorry, Brent Spiner. I don't know why. That's kind of mean.
Because he's got a lot of followers.
He's got a lot of followers. He does.
If he retweeted this podcast, I'd be very happy.
Let's get Brent Spiner to retweet this podcast.
If we can get,
let's do it.
We get him on the podcast.
Let's get him on the podcast.
I will give you full credit if that happens after today. I'll tell you that much.
I'm going to contact Brent Spiner and get him to retweet this podcast.
Where is Casanova was a woman?
It
now?
Just got into the Golden Door Film Festival, which is in Jersey.
Congrats
to all you Jersey people, Joysians. And so that's going to be out there, which I'm happy about. People finally get to see it. And it's a different type of film, and the budget, the Jezebel paid for the whole thing herself. So
amazing, yeah.
It was. That's one of the things about a limited budget. You got to do what you got to do. And one quick story was, there's a scene in the movie. And obviously, you have to write. So if you have a limited budget, you have to write to what you can shoot.
Yeah.
But there was one scene, I'm like, God, this has to take place at the airport. So we're like, okay, well, let's go to Grand Central Station. And because there you can shoot, for free. And
they're pretty good about it.
They're good about that. And maybe we can shoot in places that will look kind of like an airport, and we won't go near their iconic, locations and architecture. Right. So we shot that scene, and we're in post, and I'm like, oh, God, it just doesn't look right. It just doesn't, for so many reasons, it does not look right. So I go to JFK, and I'm going to all the terminals, and I noticed that Terminal 5 is really dead. There's no people there. So I go to Jezebel, let's reshoot this scene. I feel like we'll be able to shoot for like an hour and a half. Let's just try to get as much into the scene as we can. Yeah, we'll be kicked out after a while. Let's just go for it. And Jezebel,
so you did a gorilla. You just did it.
Oh, just a full on Planet of the Apes. We just went, man. And Jezebel loves stuff like that. So she's like, yeah, let's just do it. I mean, she was a bank robber in her former life. And we go to Terminal 5 and we ended up shooting for like 6 hours. No one said a word. We shot all over the place.
That's great.
So we had this. I mean,
it makes me worry
fantastic.
about the state of our
security.
But
can I tell you, the sound guy, he had like all the sound equipment in his backpack, and he was like, he wasn't from here. He's like, I am uncomfortable wearing the backpack. Kevin, can you wear the backpack? I'm like, why? And he opens up the backpack, and it's just all the electronic equipment with like digital readouts, and it looks like a countdown.
Oh, nice.
It's like 10. I'm like, it looks like a bomb. That's why. So.
Because those bombs are what really are used in these kind of things, with a digital readout, making it very clear how long it is until we all explode.
That's pretty much what it was.
Yeah.
And that's how it worked in real life, too. Digital countdowns.
Very nice.
And so we had the crew bring suitcases where it looked like, travelers. And
smart.
Yeah, it worked out. I mean, it worked out great, because indie film is all about the best locations you can get.
I love that. That's a great story.
Yeah.
Where's fair market value now?
Fair market value, I'm actually going to go to LA next week. In fact, I'm waiting my first cut today. I would have it. And that's in a really great position. There's a lot of interest in the film. I think we talked about, because the star Louisiana is a
pretty big following,
really big following.
Yeah.
Combined, she's about like 10 million followers.
And the Bublé factor.
And the Bublé factor is another huge thing.
And if you don't know what we're talking about, this is your incentive to go back and listen to the part one.
You got to go to part one.
Yeah.
What episode number is that? 52.
It sounds good.
Yeah.
You think I know, but I don't.
So go back and So Michael Bublé is married to Louisiana. And he's best friends with Brian Lord at CIA, and so they're
he's got some contacts.
He's got some clout, and so a lot of it is okay. Well, this movie just has to be coherent, and things can be done.
Yeah.
And we were able to accomplish so much. I am so happy and proud of what we were able to do and what we were able to capture on film, and how many people came together. I can't remember what we talked about in terms of locations, and just quickly, the producer Judy San Roman is like the queen of Long Island, and nice. She was able to get like $1 million locations for free all over the place. Every favorite. I mean, I wrote scenes, like I wrote the movie bigger than what the budget will allow.
Sure.
But we got it all. I mean, we did these jet ski scenes that were worked out with drones and the mansions, and I wrote this kind of out of the blue, like big dance sequence. And Stacey Tukey from So You Think I Can Dance choreographed it.
Oh my gosh.
She came down, got these amazing dances. We shot it on a street with a crane. I mean, it was pretty nuts. Like
nice.
We got so much great stuff. I'm so happy. The exact cast that I wanted. That's where it is. And yeah, I just couldn't be more ecstatic. And there's a little secret thing happening now. I'm going to be partnering up with a well-known actor doing television. I can't say yet but it'll be.
We'll keep
out
our
there.
ear to the ground, and as soon as you can say, I will relay it to our people who listen to this podcast, because you're our first
black person.
Come on, yes, no, you are not. But you are the first guy to come back and do a second one, so I appreciate it, man.
Am I the? No, you had other parts.
I had
didn't
two-parters, but that was one interview cut into two. This is the first time I've had someone come back. So
wow, I feel really, really special.
You deserve it, man.
I'm taking off my pants.
I guess I will too. Then. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Kevin Arbouet. Told you that one was something. Has plenty to say, and I like hearing it. Very, very thought-provoking stuff with him, and it was cool also hearing the other projects that he's involved with, because it all ties together, folks. It's all part of the same package, no matter what goes on. So make the world around you a better place. That's what I say. And I think Kevin would agree. And if you want to follow Kevin and find out what he talks about, hear his opinions on the world, you can follow him on Twitter at Kevin Arbouet. Link direct will be at the website at bringyourownlunch.com in the show notes for this episode. Hey, thanks, Kevin. Always great hanging out and sitting and chatting with you, and I have a feeling there will be a part 3 before too long. All right, that about does it for another edition of Bring Your Own Lunch. Glad you can join us. Thank you. Also, thank you, Banuba, banuba.net, Banooba.net. Banuba is the band you are listening to right now. Go to their website, download some of their music, buy their music, go see them live, support them. They support us. It's only fair. Don't forget to go to our website, bringyourownlunch.com. You can find out all the information about Kevin and all the guests on this program, past, present, and presumably future, plus exclusive stuff that you can't find anywhere else. You can also like us on Facebook.com/bringyourownlunch. Follow us on Twitter at BYOL Podcast. Follow us on Instagram at bringyourownlunch. And of course, please, please, please go to iTunes or Stitcher, rate, review, and of course, subscribe to the show. It'll help us out tremendously, and it's a good thing for you to do, and everybody will be happy. It'll make the world a better place. Maybe just mine, but that's okay. Stay tuned for Jimmy Jack's Cow Punch Hour, followed by Mansour and the Fish, and until next week when I have another great guest lined up, this is Dave. I'll see you next week. I'm all about the bass. No trouble.